that the House do now adjourn. The member for Holt.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I rise tonight to talk about a major issue in my electorate, and that is the residents living in the new Belmond estate in Clyde who have, believe it or not, in 2017 been without a phone, internet or guaranteed mobile service since November 2016. How in 2017 does it make any sense that residents who have bought a new home have no guaranteed way to communicate for several months, especially in the case of an emergency? As an example, we, over the past couple of months, have been meeting with local residents, and we heard, understandably, a number of alarming stories. In one instance, a woman was watching tennis on television when a man tried to break into her home and threatened her life. Due to a lack of phone reception and coverage, she struggled to call the police at a time of great stress. In a second instance, a resident's brother passed away back in the United Kingdom. Family overseas were trying to call her, but she did not receive the urgent message until she left the estate the next day. These stories, Deputy Speaker, are a disgrace. How can it be reasonable to expect that a suburb in Melbourne, close to the fastest-growing suburb in Australia, would not have a phone service, particularly for those that needed it in a time of need? In January 2017, I first became aware of this issue when a constituent, Elise Cummin, contacted my office and advised that she didn't have access to a phone line or internet at her new residence in Clyde. She also advised that over 40 local residents were experiencing the same difficulties. These concerns were subsequently raised with the Minister for Communications and the Arts, Telstra and NBN Co. But after receiving responses, the residents were obviously concerned because their problems hadn't been remedied about the issue and raised these concerns with myself and the media. On the 6th of March 2017, Age journalist Lucy Battersby wrote a pivotal article exposing the delays in connecting NBN services at Belmond Estate in Clyde and pointing out that additional civil works having been completed before the services became operational. According to Battersby, due to the roadworks, NBN Co still has to install 7.8 kilometres of fibre optic cable from Belmond on Clyde to the nearest point of interconnect exchange to complete the connection. I think the article by that journalist was pivotal in achieving some outcomes I'll talk about shortly. In early March, I also met with residents on 2 occasions, initially at the estate. They were good people and they met on a Sunday morning, and then at a special meeting in my office on Tuesday, the 15th of March. At this meeting, residents received a briefing from representatives from NBN Co, Telstra and the City of Casey. They were advised why the services hadn't been provided, and they were offered some temporary solutions. The representatives apologised to the residents for the frustration and inconvenience that were caused. However, they were still left very dissatisfied after the meeting about what the temporary solutions were going to be. And even with the universal service obligation, they were required to pay extra for a satellite phone and were told that fixed phone and internet services were still months away. Telstra, as I said, offered the fixed voice service, but a number of the residents had problems with the satellite phones and returned them. It is unacceptable in a modern area where my constituency is, that when residents apply under a universal service obligation, that a guaranteed phone service can't be provided. You could understand this in a remote area, in an area that experienced a natural disaster, but in one of the fastest-growing areas in Australia, completely unacceptable. I would strongly suggest that the Minister for Communications and Telstra work together to improve this universal obligation service, which should absolutely guarantee a phone service to those in need. I certainly like to thank the Australian Communications Consumer Action Network for urging NBN and Telstra to provide temporary coverage and for attending our special meeting in my office. So today, I'm pleased to advise that NBN Co has finally stepped in to provide an NBN service to the residents in Belmond on Clyde Estate, and that's long overdue. It was supposed to be apparently in May, but I think a bit of attention seems to have gone a long way, Mr Deputy Speaker. However, there are some key things that need to be done. The City of Casey needs to work with telecommunications providers like Telstra to approve as quickly as possible the building of a new mobile phone tower to provide mobile coverage to those living in the Belmond estate. NBN Co needs to assist residents with installing the NBN from today as quickly as possible. And we need to ensure that this doesn't happen in future. It's not good enough that perhaps areas all over the country are experiencing this. The NBN should have already been rolled out. It was only because of great residents like Elise Cummin and those brave group of residents that came together in my office that we have a service that's been provided, that should have been provided the moment they shifted in November 2016.